Hey guys, this is your host, Iowa Steeler. I know it's been a long time since I've done a Steelers Xtreme podcast, and today's probably not the best time to bring it back, but I'm going to bring it back. Obviously, for those of you that just sat through that dumpster fire of a football game, it was not good. It was not fun to watch. I watched it from beginning to end. I think I would rather be waterboarded than watch that football game again. It was easily the worst I've seen the Steelers play. I don't even know the last time. I mean, the Eagles game last year was pretty bad, but this one just felt worse. It was in our house. I mean, just to get smacked in the mouth like that by a team like Jacksonville, that's a perennial, just a terrible team every year. I mean, it felt bad losing to the Bears and then to lose to Jacksonville like this. Like, it's just a gut punch. I mean, I guess that's all I can say about it. Um, Roethlisberger, Ben, he played absolutely terrible. He was atrocious. His throws were way off. He's been like that all season. I mean, we as Steelers fans have got to look at this from the bigger picture. Ben has not looked good since last season. I mean, even last year, he wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire, but he looked a lot better than he does this year. It kind of makes a lot of people are questioning, if he really has his head in the game, things like that. I don't think it's a matter of that. I think Ben's just as competitive as he's always been, but I think the biggest issue is he's just not. His talent just isn't there anymore. He doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have the accuracy that he used to have. I mean, he's got more weapons on the field than he's had in a couple of years. He's got Bryan out on the field. He's got Bell. He's got the best, in my opinion, still the best wide receiver in football, and Antonio Brown. And, we have other weapons that we've added, like Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's just not. He's high on his throws. He's low on his throws. He overthrows receivers down the field. Like, the deep ball that he's normally known for, has been non-existent. I mean, even the ones that we have connected on this year, the 3 or 4 that I've seen, he's been off on these throws. Like, it's just kind of him arm punting the ball up into the air, and the receiver just happens to make a catch down the field. But it's not like he's throwing a beautiful, looping pass down the field, straight into a receiver's hands and hitting him in stride. He's not throwing them right into their breadbasket like he used to, like we're used to seeing. It's pretty heartbreaking to watch, to be quite honest, because we know how good Ben is when he's, at his best, and maybe he proves that he's still got something left in the tank. Maybe this is a gut punch, a gut check for him, but I doubt it. I have the feeling that we've seen the best of Ben Roethlisberger, and maybe that's just the negativity in me. Maybe that's just me feeling extra pessimistic after watching this Jacksonville game, but I just feel like we've seen the best that we're going to see from Ben Roethlisberger, and it's absolutely heartbreaking for me to say that, because Ben is hands down probably, he's got to be in my top 2 at least of favorite Steelers players of all time. I mean, just everything that he's done for, this team, and for Steelers fans, like winning us 2 Super Bowls. It's hard for me to say anything bad about the guy, but he's looked really bad, really bad this season. A lot of people, were really happy after we won the Ravens game last weekend, and the Ravens game, I said at the beginning of this season when we won games that these wins felt like losses. And that's probably being a bit greedy, but in light of this Jacksonville game, there's truth to what I said. Because this team just has not been playing well offensively at all. Le'Veon Bell can't run the ball, and I think a lot of that has to do with him not being in training camp, number one. I think that he was rusty in his first game, especially against the Browns. I feel like I'm saying a lot in this podcast. My mind's all over the place right now. But you know, Bell's not been able to run the football, and I think a lot of that has to do with Ben just hasn't been able to throw it, so defenses are just coming in and basically saying, hey, throw the football at us. We'll stack the box with 8 or 9 guys, and we'll dare you to throw the football because they recognize that we can't throw the football. They recognize that, even when we have receivers open, they don't have to worry about it because Ben's going to overthrow them, or he's going to underthrow them, or he's going to put the ball in a bad place where the defender can pick it off. I mean, that was watching this Jacksonville game just killed me. I mean, interception after interception, and then the 2 pick sixes. Like, oh, that was bad. It was so bad. The one I will give, it got deflected off of a defensive lineman's arm, and went right to the linebacker. That's just a freak stroke of luck. These things happen, like the linebacker just happened to be standing right where the ball got deflected to. If he hadn't been standing there, that ball goes to the turf harmlessly. It's a deflection, but it just went right to him. You're going to have those lucky breaks, whether it's our team getting the lucky break or it's theirs. Like, those things happen. So I'll give him the first pick six probably wasn't Ben's fault. The second pick six was absolutely Ben's fault. It was a terrible throw. He overthrew Brown, who was actually open. It got tipped up, and then they picked it off and just ran it into the end zone. So I'd say 4 of these interceptions were avoidable. The one was just a freak stroke of luck for Jacksonville. But as much as I hate to say this about regarding Ben Roethlisberger, I think we're probably seeing the last year for him. And I hope that I end up beating Crow. I really do. I hope next week we come out and put 40 points on the Kansas City Chiefs like we did last year, when we got smacked in the mouth by the Eagles. And this team just made a comeback and won the AFC North and went on to play in the AFC Championship game and, was that close to being in another Super Bowl. I hope that's the case, but I just don't see that. We're losing badly to teams that we shouldn't be losing to with the amount of talent we have. And it really starts at the quarterback position for us, from an offensive standpoint. I think the defense is playing well enough. I mean, the defense could be making more plays if our offense was putting our team in a position to have success, and they're not. They're getting off the field immediately. The defense is going back out there. I mean, as much as the defense has been out on the field, they're not allowing a lot of points. I mean, today they didn't really allow a lot of points. I mean, 14 of Jacksonville's points came from pick sixes. The other, whatever, I don't even want to do math right now, whatever was left of their points, that was points they earned. They had the 1 touchdown with Leonard Fournette. They had the field goal. I mean, other than that, all their points came from pick sixes. 14 points we gave up from pick sixes. And that's not on our defense. That's not on Ryan Shazier and Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt and Javon Hargrave and those guys. Those guys have been playing pretty good football. I mean, earlier in the season they, let Jordan Howard gash them, but people have to realize that was without Stephon Tuitt on the field. And let's face it, we don't have that much depth on our defensive line. When Tuitt or Hayward are out, that defensive line is not anywhere near as good as they are when those guys are on the field. My phone is going crazy with ESPN posts. It's super annoying because really, honestly, the last thing I want to hear is anything related to football. But this thing's going nuts anyways. I guess what else can we touch on? I mean, a lot of people are also going after Todd Haley. They're Todd Haley, the play calling, blah, blah, blah. And while I agree that the play calling could have been better in a lot of aspects, they're calling too many of these stupid shovel pass plays. Like, what is that? Like, why are you calling 3 or 4 of these a game? It's just bizarre how many times I'm seeing these little shovel pass screens to the tight ends and to the running backs. Like, whatever happened to, a halfback slip screen, something along those lines, a regular old wide receiver screen. They throw those occasionally, but, it seems like I see 3 or 4 of these shovel passes a game now, and it's just, like, it's bizarre. Like, usually they pull one of those out like every once in a while to catch a defense sleeping during a game, and usually historically when I've seen it, it's to a tight end. It's when we're in the red zone, that kind of thing. But this year, it's like a staple of the offense, and I think that speaks a lot to the lack of confidence they have in Ben, like to not throw the ball down the field, like. And I can't blame him because Ben hasn't looked good throwing the ball down the field at all, whether it's on the intermediate stuff, the deep balls. I mean, even on some of his screens, he's overthrowing the receiver, throwing it too far in front of him, throwing it behind him, throwing it into the ground. Like his just accuracy has been absolutely all over the place. And I don't want to continue just sitting here ragging on Ben because it's not 100% on Ben. Ben is obviously to blame for most of our issues offensively. I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat that, but we also have other issues. Our vaunted offensive line being another huge issue. It doesn't help that Ben has been under pressure at times. Guys like Marquise Pouncey and David DeCastro and Villanueva have not stepped up well this season, in my opinion. They've given up sacks, they've given up pressures, they haven't been opening up holes in the running game. The way this team is right now, the way they're playing, with Ben struggling, the best thing they can do is try to run the football so that the running game opens up play action and it opens up the passing game for Ben. Because in the past, we've always been a team that seems to use the pass to kind of open up the running game. We'll hit those little underneath passes and then we'll hit them deep. And then Le'Veon Bell's got holes to run through because the defense can't stack the box because they have to respect Antonio Brown. They have to respect guys like Martavis Bryant and Juju Smith-Schuster and all these guys. And even last year, just Brown and Kobe Hamilton. Like we still challenge teams deep down the field. This year we don't have that. And it shows, and the defenses are just stacking the box and just daring us to throw the football. And the offensive line isn't opening any holes when we do try to run the ball. We're just predictable right now. They know when we're going to run the ball. They know we're not going to be able to do it because they're putting 8 or 9 guys in the box. And the offensive line isn't blocking all that well to begin with. So how are you going to have any success offensively? I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. There is no success to be had in that. They're going to have to come out and be a run-first football team and then try to be as effective as they can with the passing plays that they do call. And they've got to mix it up. But, there's no one thing you can just point your finger at and say it's just because of this. I think the biggest thing has been, and I think that execution has to be better from a personnel standpoint offensively. I think that the offensive line has to play better. I think that the receivers have got to quit dropping the passes that do get to them, especially Martavis Bryant, who has been very underwhelming in my opinion. I think that the tight ends haven't been very good. Jesse James has been very up and down. He's never really been the tight end, the replacement for Heath Miller that we wanted. I mean, it's hard to replace a guy like Heath Miller. That guy's a legendary Steeler tight end. There's a reason people still yell Heath when a tight end catches a football because he's the measure of tight ends for the Steelers. But, the tight ends haven't been good. Vance McDonald's been atrocious. You can't even throw the ball to the guy. He'll probably drop it. And 49ers fans warned me about that, and I told them, oh, no, he gets to play with a Hall of Fame quarterback now, so he'll be better. And, I'm eating my words now because Vance McDonald looks like the Vance McDonald that the 49ers had. Even when Ben does get a ball to his hands, he drops it. Maybe he's better at blocking than Jesse James, but we need tight ends who can catch the ball too. And right now we don't really have guys that can stretch the field from the tight end position at all, with any type of consistency. Vance McDonald's got to be better catching the ball. So does Jesse James. They need to be more consistent threats. They're not. They're easily covered. They're mediocre in blocking. I think Jesse James in particular is mediocre at blocking. The one consistent player on offense has been Antonio Brown. I mean, Bell hasn't been consistent, and I don't really think it's Bell's fault at this point. Today, Ben threw the ball almost 60 fucking times. That's ridiculous. I mean, we shouldn't have to be throwing the ball 60 times in a game. That's insane. That's plainly insane. That just shows you how ineffective our running game was. And then the other issue I have with this team in addressing the Jacksonville disaster, I'm going to call it, was the total lack of pride that this team displayed. Now, I think there was a couple guys out there that were still playing hard. I think Shazier is a guy that doesn't quit. But I didn't see anybody else really playing all that hard, to be honest, especially when Jacksonville got that second pick six. It was like they just quit. And to me, take that fucking Rooney patch off your jersey. You guys don't deserve to wear that after this game. In fact, I think they should take off their Steelers patch off their jersey until they earn it back. That was a putrid showing all around, and they just quit. I mean, it didn't help that Ben was arm punting the ball and throwing interceptions left and right, but they just quit. I mean, and the biggest quitting play that I saw was that 90-yard run by Leonard Fournette. That was fucking disgusting to watch. 90 yards, made him have a 6.5 yard per carry average, and he didn't have that kind of game. Leonard Fournette did not have that kind of game. He really didn't. All of his yardage came on that one play. I mean, that's ridiculous. I thought the defense just quit. I mean, Mike Mitchell was held on the play if you go back and you watch it, but that's no excuse. There was nobody else back there, and nobody really made an effort to go tackle Leonard Fournette. The defense looked putrid after the second pick six, and I mean, turnovers like that are demoralizing, but you can't quit. There was still 7 minutes left in the game after that second pick six, and it just, I mean, there's so many things to be mad about from this game and to be disappointed in as a fan. I feel bad for all the people at Heinz Field that paid big time money. You know, these tickets are, $150, $200 a piece to go watch these damn games so that your team can suck that bad. I mean, I feel bad for them. I'm glad that the game I went to this season they won, because I almost bought tickets to the Jacksonville game instead of the Minnesota game, and I'm really, really glad I didn't drive 12 hours to see that travesty of a football game, because that was an absolute disaster. And the fans were booing the team and everything, and honestly, they deserve it. They deserve it all around. The coaching was abysmal. Mike Tomlin, why are you challenging things that were obviously... I mean, I forget the challenge in the first half. I remember he challenged something, and it was stupid. And then he challenged the first down by the Jacksonville receiver, and it was obviously a first down. He caught the ball right at the 40-yard line. It was a first down. Like, I know that's easier to see when you're watching on television, but I mean, you see where the guy caught the ball. Is that a challenge you should make? And then in the second half, that challenge that Antonio Brown caught the ball, I mean, come on. It was like he was just grasping. Like, it was just a desperate challenge. I mean, and it wasted a timeout that could have been used later on. But, I mean, we were not going to win this game anyways. But the way this team was playing overall, we weren't going to win this game. But all in all, terrible game. Extremely disappointed in my Steelers. Pissed off that, this is the season, Mr. Rooney passed away. And this is how we play football. We can't play better than this. I mean, given Ben's obviously not in his prime anymore, but they got to find ways to manufacture points, and arm punting interceptions and giving the defense 2 pick sixes is not how you do that. Quitting late in the game and letting Leonard Fournette run for 90 yards, that's just disgusting. That pisses me off. That's not Steelers football. And to allow Jacksonville to whoop our sorry asses up and down the field at Heinz Field on our turf during a season after, that should be in memory of Mr. Rooney, it fucking pisses me off. It's disappointing. It's a gut punch to every Steelers fan. And I think Mr. Rooney would be rolling in his grave right now watching this. I mean, this was bad. This was really, really bad. This is as bad as I can remember. I mean, 5 interceptions. Unbelievable. I mean, if you would have told me that Ben would have 5 interceptions today before this game. I would never believe that. Even though Ben's been kind of struggling, I kind of figured it was a chemistry thing with his receivers. Like, we're still kind of coming together as a team. Like, we're still putting together the pieces. But that's obviously not the case. Something's not right with Ben. He's just not the Ben that we know and love. Like, this team's just not playing good football right now, particularly on offense. I think the defense is fine. I think the defense would be fine if we had better quarterback play and an offense. Like, we'd be a good team. I mean, ultimately, if we had better quarterback play, we'd be a very good team. But we're just not. This offense is just putrid right now. Le'Veon Bell can't run the football. We can't run the football because our passing attack is non-existent. We're one-dimensional. Our play calling's predictable. Coaching is below average. It's the standard is the standard, they say. Mike Tomlin likes to say, well, you're not meeting the standard. Your coaching staff or the players. This was just an ugly football game. So I guess I just wanted to use the podcast today to kind of vent my feelings a little bit. I hope next week that we somehow miraculously beat Kansas City, but I guarantee you the Kansas City Chiefs right now have this game marked on their calendar and have since last season. We beat them during the regular season. We beat them bad at our home, at Heinz Field. Then we went up and played Kansas City in the playoffs in that icy game. We beat them, sent them home for the playoffs when they had a promising season. So that left a bad taste in their mouth. I guarantee they've had this game marked on their calendar since last year. I guarantee this is one that they've wanted to win. They put a whooping on the Patriots to open the season. They've been playing good, consistent football. They're a well-balanced football team. I mean, they're not overly flashy, particularly on offense, but they just play good football. They're just a good, balanced football team. They don't need to be over the top. And that's why they're winning games. That's why they're 4-0 right now. And that's why they'll probably win again this week. But they're going to kill us next week if we play remotely as bad as we played this week. They're going to put 50 points on us. I mean, that's just all there is to it, because this is the best caliber opponent we will have played this season. So if Roethlisberger and company want to show that they've got something left in the tank, that they've got some heart, and that they want to play for that patch, for that Rooney patch that they're wearing, then they better pull their heads out of their damn asses, and they better start playing better football. And that's all I got to say on it. So thanks for listening today, guys. Sorry this has to be such a downtrodden, depressing podcast, but I kind of wanted to get the podcast going again anyways. I'm just sorry that I started it this week. It would have been better if I'd done it last week on a more positive note. Thanks for listening today, guys. I hope you all have a better day.